1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very, very special welcome to Mrs. Altman and Mrs. Stay's class at Glenwood Elementary School in Virginia Beach, Virginia, United States of America, North America, World Universe. Wonderful to have you with us. We are talking to you all the way from Africa, everyone. Now, this is an elementary school class of 6 to 7-year-olds, and so you are all most especially welcome on our little safari this afternoon. And for the rest of you who are watching, regular viewers or perhaps new viewers, you're going to be on a live safari for the next 3 hours. We'd love to talk to you. Hashtag SafariLIVE if you'd like to ask us questions on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.tv if you are on the email. My name is James, and on the camera we have got Brian, the thumb, Joubert. That's Brian's thumb, everybody. Right, so boys and girls of the class, please feel free to ask me any question you like about Africa or South Africa or any of the animals that we might be lucky enough to see. I was hoping to find you something before we started, but there's nothing around right now. Lots of beautiful bush, though, all over the place, and with any luck, we will soon see some very exciting animals that you will enjoy with us. On the other vehicle, we have 2 vehicles out today. Sam is driving with David, and in the final control, we have Louise being assisted by Kirsten. Right, let's not hang around. I know your class isn't very long, so let's keep driving and see if we can find some of the wonderful animals of Africa. And in case you're wondering, we are in a part of South Africa called the Kruger National Park. Now, many of you, I'm sure, at Glenwood Elementary School would have heard of Yellowstone National Park in the United States. Well, the Kruger is basically like the South African equivalent of the Yellowstone National Park. It's a place where the animals and the trees and the birds and the insects and everything else can live without being harmed by human beings, well, most of the time anyway. And that's where I am very lucky to work. Isn't that great? It's a really wonderful job, and it's especially wonderful to be able to bring it to you. Now, the first thing we're going to show you, Brian, are some grey hornbills up there. Now, of course, when we talk about animals, we often think of only mammals, and that's not necessarily true. Remember, animals include birds. And that, of course, is a beautiful bird there called a southern grey hornbill. Troy, you've obviously watched The Lion King, and you're interested to know whether or not the Pride Land is real. Well, Troy, I'm assuming that you're talking about The Lion King, and the Pride Land, as it is in The Lion King, I'm afraid, is a little bit of a story. But all of those animals that you saw in The Lion King do exist, absolutely. The lion lives out here, the giraffes live out here, the elephants, the rhino, the hippo, the buffalo, they all live out here. But they don't all necessarily walk up and down and treating the lion like a king. The hyena does live here, and the hyena, of course, is a very beautiful animal, and it is not an evil, nasty animal like they made it out to be in The Lion King. And that bird that you just saw was a hornbill, and a hornbill, of course, is exactly what Zazu was. Zazu was a hornbill, and interestingly, one of our local languages called Zulu or isiZulu, in that language, the word was the function of that little bird. Advise and give good counsel to little Simba. Now we're hoping to find a little, but let's keep exploring. We've got a question about what the hornbills eat. It's a very good question. And Judy, those hornbills like to eat fruits, they like to eat insects, they like to eat sometimes even small reptiles. That's the main sort of thing that they eat. Lots of insects though. Just about all birds out here will eat insects. I'm just going to stop. I can hear something. Is it on the vehicle?
I don't know. I'm also hearing it.
It's going, choo,
Yes.
choo. And it stopped, everybody. So I'm assuming that it's probably something making a noise in the car. Let's keep going. Yes. It is in the car. Interesting. Never mind that. Let's see if we can find some animals. There was a very big herd of buffalo around earlier. Now our buffalo are very different from your buffalo. Our buffalo are big and black, and they've got enormous horns, and their hair is very short. Unlike your buffalo at home, well, you probably don't have too many buffalo in Virginia Beach, but you'll have them in the American National Parks. They're all big and shaggy, aren't they? Very different from our buffalo out here, which I wish I could find you. Now, Farrar, a very bird. You want to know how many birds there are in Africa? Well, there are over 900 species of bird in South Africa alone. Africa, of course, is an enormous place, and this, Farrar, is how many birds there are in Africa. This book has got all the birds in Africa, and so there are probably about 2,000 species of birds in all of Africa. That is a lot. 2,000 different kinds of birds in Africa. Remember, Africa, everybody, is bigger than the United States, much bigger. In fact, you could probably fit the United States into Africa about 2.5 times. Hooray! We're going to go across to Sam. He's got another wonderful bird to show you.
Glenwood Elementary. Mrs. Altman and Mrs. Stay, welcome to the safari. You've seen James, and now you have seen a ground hornbill in a tree. There's not one, there's two, there's three, there's 4 in that tree. We can't see the other 2 at the moment, but this is a fantastic sighting of a ground hornbill. It is the first time I have ever seen a ground hornbill. Have you guys ever seen a ground hornbill? Have you ever seen any of the hornbills? There's a number of hornbills that we get, and this is the largest hornbill that we get here in southern Africa. It's beautiful. It makes such an incredible sound. Almost sounds like a lion roaring when you hear the sound of a ground hornbill. So if we're lucky, we'll be able to hear the sound of these beautiful animals. I'm going to see if we can get another position. Hello, Maya. How many tigers do we get in southern Africa? That's a fantastic question, Maya. Because we actually have tigers at a place called Tiger Canyons, but they're not really from here. So tigers you actually get in Asia. This is where we normally find the lions and the leopards. But Mia, you know, you never know. Hey? We've got a conservancy that has tigers here, and you know, it's a possibility basically. But it's not the right habitat. They weren't born here. But it's a really good question, Mia. I like the way that you are thinking. But if we have a look up in the tree, we have the ground hornbills. Sorry about that. I realized I didn't actually introduce myself. I am Sam Chevalier. On camera is David. I just got so excited. I'm brand new here at SafariLIVE in the bush, and I just saw a ground hornbill, and it is the first sighting that I've had of a ground hornbill, and I just couldn't wait to show everyone. So that is a ground hornbill in the tree. There's 4 of them, and they are just such magnificent birds. They are so big. So, Glenwood Elementary, I am Sam. Those are the ground hornbills, and Dave is behind the camera. So, it's the same size as a turkey that you get in America. That's the best way in which I can compare the ground hornbill to the turkey. Yeah. But that's the first hornbill that you've seen in Africa. Well, guys, hopefully we get to see the other ones. There's more than just these big ground hornbills in the bush. I'm going to see what we can find out here. Let's go and see how James is doing with elephants. See you later.
We are so lucky, everybody. Look at this special little elephant and his mum. And they are feeding on all the grass and the special flowers that have grown up as a result of some late rain that we had. Isn't that special? That little one is even younger than all of you. He's only about 2 or 3 months old. And Hannah, you wanted to know if you get elephants in Africa? Well, there's your answer. There are elephants. And this is not a very big herd. There are 4 of them. We know this herd quite well. We see them quite often. And if you look carefully at the mum there, she's missing the bottom part of her trunk. Now, we don't really know how she lost it, but maybe when she was little, like her little baby there, maybe she lost it to a crocodile or another predator or something like that. But she's okay. It doesn't matter. She manages to survive just fine. Let's move up a little bit and see if we can get a better view of these 4 wonderful African elephants. The little one is just running because he's running because he wants to be with his older brothers and sisters. And I'm sure many of you have got older brothers and sisters that you like to be close to, especially when you're excited and you want to tell them about something you've just seen. Well, that little elephant is just rushing over to his big brother and sister and saying, "Can you believe it? Look at all those people over there." He's so excited because he doesn't see us very often, you see. We'll just get round the front so you can get an idea of them walking towards us. There's a very interesting question from Pamela, who wants to know why animals live in Africa. Well, Pamela, animals don't really have a choice where they live. They're not like us. They can't get on a plane and fly somewhere else. But there are animals all over the world, Pamela. I don't know how much geography you've done, but there are 7 continents in the world, and on all of those continents there are animals. Even in Antarctica, which is frozen all of the time, you get penguins and seals, which all live around there. And so there are animals on every continent. And so that's just the way it has happened, Pamela. As the world has developed over many billions of years, so animals have developed in all parts of the world. From the smallest little animals, so the smallest animal we get here would, I suppose, be something the size of an ant, up to the size of these incredible elephants. And you find them all over the world. You'll find animals, but some animals are better suited to other areas than others. So you don't get elephants in the United States because the habitat, the kind of environment that they live in, the right types of plants for them to eat don't exist. But you get elephants in Africa because they do. And we don't get bears here, for example, but you get bears, obviously, in America. Now, that elephant is very close to us now, only about, say, 10 or 12 feet. I'm just hiding out the way so you don't get my face instead of the elephants. And there's the mother and the little one. Look at the little one, just lifting its ears as if to say, "What do you guys want?" Joshua, you're wondering about another very important animal. And Joshua, you're obviously a very clever fellow, because one of the most important animals we find out here is a special thing called a dung beetle. And Joshua, you want to know what color a dung beetle is. Well, while you look at the elephants, I will find you some pictures of dung beetles. Dung beetles come in all sorts of colors, Joshua. The best colored dung beetle we get is beautiful, sort of silvery green. And I'll show you a picture of him while you watch those wonderful elephants. And they're feeding, they're eating grass, they're eating flowers, they'll also eat seeds and fruits. But there are not many fruits around now, so they have to eat grass at the moment. And you might also be able to hear that special bird calling. It's called a ring-necked dove. Maya, just before I show you a picture of the dung beetles, the mum elephant, you want to know which one is the mum elephant? That's the mum elephant right in front of us there. And she's not very big yet. She's still very big for us. I mean, she probably weighs about 8,000 or 9,000 pounds, but she will get bigger. She's only about 25 years old, I would say. Right, Joshua, here are the dung beetles that we get here, very special colors. And look at that beautiful sort of green colored one that we get there. Most of them, however, are kind of boring black colored, like that one there. There we go, like that one. And then I'll just quickly show you one more page. This one looks like a plum. You know what a plum is? Very bright purple fruit, and they call it a plum dung beetle. See how many there are? You know, there are over 800 species of dung beetle, and this one is really very pretty colors. Look at that. And then we had another question coming through, but unfortunately I missed it because my earpiece came out, so I'm going to ask Louise to feed it to us again. And Troy, you want to know why dung beetles are small? Well, Troy, again, it's just because it's easier for them to be small than it is to be big. Imagine a dung beetle was the size of an elephant. It would be very difficult for it to fly, and it wouldn't be able to find enough dung to eat. So if you're little, you can find enough to eat because you don't have to eat very much. It's just like you don't have to eat nearly as much as your mum and dad or as much as your big brother and sister because you're just smaller. And so if you're a dung beetle out here, there's not enough dung if you're too big. If you were the size of Brian, who's enormous, if you were the size of Brian, you wouldn't find enough dung to eat and you'd be very hungry all the time, Troy. Let's just go around the corner here and get another nice look at these elephants. We're very lucky to see these. And I hope that many of you will be able to actually come out here with your families one day and come and see these things for real. It's a very special feeling seeing a tiny little elephant like that. I know you guys are 6 and 7 years old, and this little elephant is probably, well, we know how old he is. He's about 3 months old. That's more than 5 years younger than all of you. Sorry, Louise, you'll have to do that again. My earpiece has got an issue. And Jaden, you want to know if we find lots of crazy things here. Well, Jaden, yes, I suppose we do, but you know what the craziest thing in all the world is? Jaden, I think the craziest thing in all the world is the human being. We find lots of them around here, of course. I'm just trying to think of what crazy things you'd think if we find crazy insects, crazy praying mantises, I suppose, different kinds of beetles and weevils and those sorts of things, and lots of birds, but the craziest things out here, I suppose, would be human beings, or we would also have crazy things like monkeys. They are very crazy. They can behave crazily, and baboons. And there's a young fellow in the class called James, which of course is a great name, isn't it? Wonderful name. You want to know how aggressive are dung beetles? James, a dung beetle is not an aggressive creature at all. You can pick up a dung beetle quite easily, and a dung beetle will not attack you. James, they don't have a sting. And they're actually quite interesting to pick up because if you pick them up, they'll try and sort of dig their way under your skin. But they don't have any sharp mouth parts, and so they can't hurt you at all, James. And unfortunately, I'd love to show you a dung beetle, but there aren't many around right now. Look at this little elephant. Now, Judy, watch carefully, and you will have your question answered for you. Judy, elephants, you want to know what they eat. Judy, elephants eat grass. Look at this one eating grass here. That's the mother eating grass. This little one, of course, drinks milk, and it's trying to drink milk now. Look, it's trying to suckle. You see that? Look at that, it's suckling. Just like a baby human, it's drinking milk. So elephants will drink milk when they're little, and then when they're about 3 years old, they stop drinking milk, and they'll only eat grass and leaves and twigs and bark and roots and all sorts of interesting things like that. Right, we've got amazing animals out here. Let's leave these elephants and go across to a giraffe.
Oh my word, everyone, look at the size of this animal. It's a giraffe. Look at this, how long its neck is. Oh, and there's a young one there too. Oh, sweet. Wow, these are the largest mammals on Africa. The giraffe, beautiful. Hello, little one. There goes an oxpecker that's sitting on the back of one of the mom there. Oh, is it? Isn't it beautiful, guys? And you can tell that that is a female by the coloration. Normally the males are a lot darker than that female there. And you can also tell that it's the youngster's also a female because you can see the tufts on top of its ossicles, which is on top of its head. Have a look at the top of its head. You can see those two little balls. That's often going to tell you that that's going to be a female if it's nice and fluffy. And you can see the little one is eating. Got a nice big bolus, which is what they do is they chew on grass and browsing. They browse on leaves and it's called a cud, and then they'll just chew, and then it will swallow, and hopefully we'll see it swallow. And when it swallows, you'll see the lump go all the way down its neck. It's incredible. And it'll come back up. Wow, Maya is asking me how many animals are there in Africa. There are so many animals in Africa. I don't even know where to begin. We've got the giraffe, we've got the ground hornbill that we just saw, we've got elephants, we've got wild dogs, which we saw this morning, we've got little beetles, we've got insects, we've got all sorts of birds and butterflies and plants and, well, animals and plants. So we've got so many different species of plants and we've got so many different species of animals. But Mia, what is your favorite animal? Which one do you love the most? Ooh, so sweet. So giraffes can get up to 6 meters, 4 to 6 meters. Can you actually imagine that? Try standing up and just looking 6 meters above you. Ask your teacher to try and put 6 meters up in your classroom somewhere, and you'll be able to understand that. 18 feet, 6 meters is 18 feet. So for Roz, I reckon your best bet is to go into your classroom somewhere, see if you can get 18 foot and mark and say that's the tallest animal in Africa, the giraffe. Really, really, really tall. You can see its tail whipping there. What's the tail doing? It's flicking all the flies. So on this really hot day, it's got all these flies and that come and rest on it, and it gets irritating. So it slaps all the flies off its body. Oh, thank you, Mr. Giraffe. It's been amazing. They're off now. Joshua, you're asking, do giraffes sometimes eat flowers? Yes, sometimes they do. They love a plant called the knobthorn, which is a big tree with big knobs on it, and it has these flowers that come out, almost like flowers that come out, and they really like to eat those on the Acacia nigrescens, which is, the knobthorn, big and knobbly. So with that, let's go and see what James is up to. Apparently there's a cheetah on the property. We're going to do our best to find what is the cheetah? What can you tell me when you come back is the fastest animal in Africa?
Now, I told you a little bit about buffalo earlier on. Well, there are some buffalo. That is a young female buffalo, and all around her, her friends in the herd of males and females and youngsters. And so very different, as you can see. I'm sure you've all seen pictures of your buffalo there, the bison, the famous American bison that used to cover the plains of the Old West in thousands and thousands. Well, these buffalo, rather the same, used to cover the plains of Africa in their thousands. And now not quite as many as there used to be. Hannah, an interesting one from you. I think your question was, do buffalo eat elephant poop? Is that right? Oh, do dung beetles only eat elephant poop? No, Hannah, they don't. Dung beetles eat all kinds of poop, if you can believe it. The dung beetles will eat even lion poop. Now, lion poop, everybody, is quite possibly the most disgusting thing in all the world. It is more disgusting than anything you've ever smelt before in your life. And dung beetles will even eat that sometimes. But they do love to eat buffalo poop. Buffalo poop is really good for dung beetles. And I just wish we could actually find you a dung beetle. But I was saying the rain has not been a lot this year, and so we haven't had many dung beetles at all. And they need the rain because they need to bury the dung under the ground. Otherwise, they can't lay their eggs in it. And so the rain has to make the ground soft in order for them to live properly. And we haven't had much rain, so we haven't had many dung beetles this year. They're some of my favorite animals, as clearly they are the favorites of many of you. And this buffalo is watching us, interested to know what we want. Now, Farah, an interesting one from you. Are rhinos a kind of dinosaur? Well, of course, we know that the full name for a rhino is rhinoceros. But remember, it's not spelt the same as dinosaurus. It's not rhinoceros, it's rhinoceros. And so, no, they don't. They're not anything like dinosaurs. Remember, and your teachers will explain what I mean by this, a dinosaur was a kind of reptile, like an enormous lizard. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, dinosaur means thunder lizard, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what it means. And a rhino is a mammal, the same as these buffalo, the same as you, the same as the elephants. We're all mammals together, so we're not the same as the dinosaurs at all. And you can see how peaceful it is out here. And Shivika, Shivika, a lovely question from you about what buffaloes eat. And you want to know if they eat lions. Shivika, no, they don't eat lions, but lions eat buffalo, don't they? This is a very favorite food of the lion. And lion is basically the only animal big enough to eat a big buffalo like this. A buffalo weighs many hundreds of pounds. A big bull will weigh more than 1,000 pounds, up to 2,200 pounds for a very, very big buffalo. So a lion makes a good meal out of a big buffalo bull, but they don't often manage to catch them because they are so big. Hello, James. You're interested in how strong a buffalo is. Well, a buffalo is even stronger than Brian on the back here. It's even stronger than me. It's even stronger than your dad. It's even stronger than a cow. So it's a bit like a cow, but have you ever been on a horse, James? It's probably about as strong as a big horse. So that's quite a strong animal. You could probably make them pull a cart like you could make a horse pull a cart, but they are rather they're too angry. You can't tame them. You can't tell them to put a bridle on because they get very upset when you do that sort of thing. And you don't want to have an upset buffalo around. So they are very strong indeed. And Joshua, you're interested in what they do actually eat now that you know that they are not eaters of lions. Well, Joshua, a buffalo eats grass. Most of the animals out here will happily eat grass. Grass is a delicious thing for many of the animals to eat, but these animals, these buffalo, look what they're doing. They're not eating anything at the moment. And they're not eating anything at the moment because they are chewing the cud. Now, you may have heard that term before, chewing the cud, and what that means, and you can be very glad that you don't have to do the same thing. There, you can see some of them might be chewing. And chewing the cud basically means, there, that one's chewing, you can see. That means that it bites the grass out of the ground, swallows it quickly, and then when its tummy is full, it lies down on the ground, and guess what it does? Ugh. It vomits up into its own mouth and then re-chews the food. Now, that's a very clever way of eating if you have to eat grass, because grass, of course, doesn't have very good nutrition. And so if you want to remain healthy as an animal, it's quite a good idea to chew your food twice to get as much nutrition out of it as possible. And there are lots and lots of animals out here that do that. Your American bison do the same thing. These buffalo do it. All of the antelope out here, even those giraffe that you saw with Sam, do that kind of thing. They re-chew their food, and they're given a special name for that, and that name is ruminant. They're known as ruminants, but you don't have to remember that. Shivika, you're interested in little buffalo and how long they stay with their mothers, yes, how long they stay with their mothers. Shivika, they stay with their mothers basically for all their lives. The female buffalo live within the same herd as their mothers do, and then the male buffalo, once they are about, say, 2 or 3 years old, well, then they're often left to either go to another herd or they live on their own with some other older buffalo bulls. But the mothers and the females will stay within the same herd as their mothers. They're not dependent on their mothers anymore, so they don't they're not always with them, but they are in the same herd. And of course, a very valid question for Africa. Jaden S., you're interested in what we do if an animal attacks us. Well, Jaden, you know, it actually doesn't happen very often that an animal would try to attack us. And the first thing you have to do is stand still. You must never run away from an animal out here. Sometimes you have to climb a tree, but the first rule is don't run. Just watch. And normally, you see, because an animal is normally saying to you, go away and leave me alone, it doesn't actually want to hurt you. If you stand still, you will be fine. So the only time an animal out here will try to attack you is if it is very, very scared. And it doesn't feel like it can run away. Then it might attack you, but it's very unusual for that to happen. Nice question there, Jaden. Right, I think we should probably move along now. See what else we can find. Maybe I did believe there were some elephants up ahead. So, Sparsy, an interesting one from you. How do you know if a buffalo is a boy or a girl? Well, you basically have to look between its back legs in the same way that you can tell if a dog is a male dog or a female dog. You just have to look between its back legs. And that one there that we were looking at there, we go a little bit forward. See is a male, and then also there's a female there. There, that's a female there. Look at her head. You can see her horns are different from the others. So Brian just tilts the camera up a little bit. There's a male. You can see that his horn is like a helmet, a great big helmet on the top of the head, and her horns don't have that helmet. They just come out the side of the head. They're also much smaller. See, they're much smaller than the males. That's a big bull there. Let's go forward. Now, Madeline, let's go forward. Let's leave these buffalo for now and quickly see if we can't find you something similar to what you asked about. You've asked about gazelle. And do we get gazelles here? No, we don't get gazelles. Gazelles, we find one kind of gazelle in South Africa, and that's called springbok. And the springbok doesn't occur here. It likes to live in the desert up to the north of the country. But we also find something called antelope. And antelope here, we have lots of different kinds, 9 different kinds of antelope, and they look very similar to some gazelles, and we'll see if we can't find those. But in East Africa, you get lots of gazelles. That's in Tanzania and Kenya. You get 3 or 4 different kinds of gazelle. But to you, I imagine, an antelope will look almost exactly the same as a gazelle. We'll just see sometimes they're in these clearings up ahead here. Some impala, they are the most common gazelles or antelope that we get here. But I don't see any today. They haven't come out to see you, unfortunately. Which is sad, but they might pop out just before you leave us. Let's keep looking. Oh, what a very clever question from Pamela. Pamela, you're interested in how animals hibernate in Africa. Well, you know, Pamela, very, very few animals hibernate in Africa, and very few animals hibernate in Africa because, you know, it doesn't actually get very cold here. It gets to about, in this particular area of Africa, only to about, what we'd say, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we don't ever get snow. We don't ever get ice here in the winter time. There are some parts of Africa that get snow and ice, but this particular part of Africa, no snow and no ice. And I think that's quite nice for us. So it's always quite warm, and that means that the animals don't ever have to hibernate. But the one thing that it does do is get very dry here. Now, Jaden is going to turn around here because I think we might lose our signal if I don't. Jaden S., you're interested in what happens if a bird takes the camera. Well, Jaden, I mean, the camera is quite heavy. Brian, how much do you think it weighs?
At least 20 pounds.
20 pounds. So it would have to be an enormous bird to take away this camera. But, of course, birds wouldn't try and take a camera because they can't eat a camera. A camera doesn't taste very nice, does it, Brian? And especially not for some of the birds here. So the biggest eagle we get here is a martial eagle, which is about that big. See how big it is? It's bigger than your screen. There we go. It's about 3 feet tall. And a martial eagle likes to eat big lizards. It doesn't like to eat cameras. Cameras are too hard. I'm just going to drive down this road here and see if we can't find an antelope for you to look at. Sorry, Shavika, I've missed your question. What was that about? Geese, maybe? Ah, you want to know if geese live in Africa, Shavika? They do. We get a very famous goose here called the Egyptian goose. Just remember, though, we're in a very small piece of Africa here. And Africa extends way up north to the Mediterranean. And you'll see, if you, in your next geography class, ask your teacher to show you a big map of Africa. And you will see that to ask if geese live in Africa, well, yes, thousands of geese live in Africa. In this area, we do get some geese. Not very many, but we do get some. Look, look, look. There's a grey go-away bird. Now, what I want you to all do while you're sitting there in the classroom, try and pretend that you are a grey go-away bird. And Brian and I will tell you how to make the noise, and then you can make it in the class. Brian, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, you all do that in your classroom. The bird is saying, go away, go away. So everybody on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And that bird is now looking for insects to eat there. It's got a beak. Normally that would allow it to eat fruit, but there's not much fruit around at the moment. And so they have to eat insects. Aren't you glad that you don't have to eat insects if there isn't fruit around? You can just go to the store and buy some fruit. But that option is not available to these grey go-away birds, so they have to make do with insects. Jaden G, let's move on a little bit here while we talk about the grey go-away bird and the fact that it lives in a tree. Jaden, you're interested in whether any other kinds of animals live in trees. Well, yes, we have a few. In terms of primates, remember we are primates, so are monkeys, so are baboons, and so are bush babies. So those 3 species, bush babies, monkeys and baboons, they will all spend time in trees. They're not always in trees. A bush baby is normally in a tree, monkeys quite often, and baboons like to sleep in trees. But otherwise, most of the animals out here, of course, live on the ground. And a leopard, which is a very famous African predator, will climb into trees and rest in trees, but they don't always live in a tree. They'll just normally rest there for a little while. I really can't believe we haven't managed to show you an impala yet, because they're normally everywhere. An impala, most common antelope that we find in this area. And I'm very glad that all of you, well done that you did your go-away bird call. That's very good. Well done to you. And I hope that you go home and tell your parents about the grey go-away bird and make the call at home as well. Perhaps around the dinner table would be a good place to do it. Just not with your mouth full, remember that. And Hannah, you're interested in eagles, and do they live in Africa? Yes, we get plenty of eagles here. They just are very different from the eagles that you get. Well, they're not that different. One eagle, in fact, that we get here, called the fish eagle, looks almost exactly like the American bald eagle. Now, I don't know if you've seen the American bald eagle. As far as I'm aware, the national bird of the United States, and we get a very similar thing here called a fish eagle. I just want to check one more place here for some antelope for you. And maybe there'll be an eagle there as well, or something. Can't believe that we haven't seen an impala. We normally see them all over. So we'll go around the corner here. The other thing we might be lucky enough to find is some berries to eat. Brian, you're in luck. How excited are you to eat some berries, Brian?
So excited, Jay.
So excited, overwhelmed. Look, everybody. So if you're hungry out in the bush, you can pick some berries, but only if it's the right time of year. And this time of year is the right time of the year for berries. These are called white berries. And I'm going to give Brian some because he's very big, so he's always hungry.
Thank you.
What do they taste like, Brian? Mmm. What do they taste like?
Delicious raspberries.
They taste like, I don't think they taste like raspberries. I think they taste like peas, but they're not very nice. They're not very nice peas because they're not ripe yet. Anyway, you can find food out here if you're very hungry. You can get used to it, even if it doesn't taste quite as nice as the food you might find in the store. Now, just remember that you mustn't eat anything that you find in the bush. You will go out into the wilderness, in the garden, and unless you know exactly what you're eating, you mustn't eat it because it can be poisonous. Those white berries are not poisonous, they just don't taste very good. Whew. Not very nice. All right, everybody, at the Glenwood Elementary School in Virginia Beach. It's been lovely talking to you. You've got to go and do something else interesting today. Maybe some art classes or math classes. So from Brian and I, and Sam and David, and of course Brian's thumb, we will see you next time. I hope you had a good time. Have a lovely day for the rest of the day. Bye-bye. Just as we find some impala. So we have found some impala, everybody. I will now stop talking like this, of course, because I'm now dressing largely adults. Aren't I, Brian? Yes. So I shall return to a rather more sedate way of speech. Here we have some impala grazing across the plain. Splendid, splendid impala grazing across the plains, very comfortable, eating the grass. Lovely soft afternoon African light here. Beautiful. I'm just going to take a breath, everybody. I found that quite intensive, those little kids, of wonderful questions. I think my favourite being, are dung beetles aggressive? I did find it a little difficult not to giggle every so often, but it's just so great the way kids see the world, isn't it? Things that you and I would never think to ask or think about. And Teresa, I agree with you. I hope that was half my intention, that the dinner conversation with those children and their parents tonight should be fascinating. I especially hope that they all go home and make the go-away bird call all afternoon long. I think that would be most amusing. Eat your dinner, son. Quack, quack, quack. That's enough. Quack. Let's just have a quick look at these impalas. There's a wonderful herd here. And you can see all the ones that were born in November, especially the males. The females not so easy to tell, but the males by their little horns that have come out of their heads, and they've got a lovely Afrikaans name, impala of this age. They're called penkop, and that basically means a pen head, and obviously because there is a pen-like horn sticking out of their heads, so you'd call this age of impala a penkop. And just before we go across to Sam, Brian, can you see that one over there with its hip sticking out? Just walking away there. That's strange. That doesn't have, it's not in good condition. Hips really sticking out, not in a good way, and I wonder why. Maybe some kind of disease. All right, my plan from here is going to be to go down, check Treehouse Dam, see if we can't find some sign of those wild dogs, or maybe even the magnificent Karula and her babies. We'll go and check the southern boundary and then head east and see if we can find the dogs. In the meantime, let's head across to Sam Chevalier and find out what he is looking at.
It doesn't taste very nice, everyone. But what I was doing there was I was pretending to be an elephant. Because have a look at this tree. This tree has been broken by an elephant. You were with James a little bit earlier, sitting with elephants. And I just thought I'd show you what it's like when they eat it. So they put it inside their mouth. Ugh. And they just chew it like this. And they strip all the leaves off the bark, and then they drop it. Boom. You can actually see some of the leaves that are stuck in there after trying to do that. So I just thought I'd show you that. And another quick simple thing that they do is that they go down and they'll be walking. And this is the trunk over here. And they just walk. Oh! And they just go like this with their trunk. And they, well, I'm not a very good elephant, but they just play with their trunk. So you can see that over here. Have a look. We've had some big ellies come through here, and his trunk has just been on the ground here. And you can see some drops, and that's the saliva of the elephant, and he's just been walking like this. Oh, and have a look at this track. Look at the size of this track, guys. You can see it's going all the way around like that. I thought I'd just give you a little bit of perspective. I'm going to put my foot in there. Can you see the difference? Me and the elephant have quite a lot that's different between us. So that is the size of an elephant track. It is massive. That's them playing with their trunk. Well, not playing, they just play with it on the ground, and that's how they eat. So there's many signs of the elephant around here, and we're going to go and see if we can find an elephant. At the same time, we may very well be able to see a cheetah, because there was a cheetah seen in this area a little bit earlier. So I'm going to put these things back up. We've got a vehicle coming behind us. That's Brent. Let's see if we can go and find a cheetah. Hello, Brent. That's Brent and Rebecca, everyone. Hello, Brent and Rebecca.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Brent, they said that the cheetah was on a termite mound somewhere on this road a bit earlier.
I found some tracks.
Yeah.
Looks like they were possibly chased by baboons.
Yeah.
There's baboon tracks everywhere on top of the cheetah track.
Okay, cool. They were heading in this direction.
Good luck.
All right.
Check around Drakensberg.
So that was Rebecca and Brent. We're going to carry on down this road. We've seen tracks of the elephant. We've seen tracks of the cheetah. It is the fastest land animal in the world, so we're going to do our very best to see if we can find one. Let's go and see what James is up to in the meantime.
Not an elephant, not a cheetah, but a wildebeest, a gnu here on Impala clearings. And of course these gnus love the clearings because they can see what is going to come and bite them. I'm just going to reverse so that Brian doesn't have to do a particularly acrobatic move in order to keep him in view. And I mean, I was saying yesterday when we were looking at gnus on cheetah plains that it's a bit of a lonely time out here for them because they don't seem to have a great deal of friends. And while there is a herd that lives on Arathusa and a herd that lives here on Djuma, these bulls, of course, have slim pickings when it comes to mating time. And their mating time is probably just finished. And so he will be spending most of his time, you'll find, in amongst herds of impala like the one we've just seen. Brian, he really is doing his best to make you do some acrobatics.
Yeah.
Let me just keep reversing. He's basically walking a circle around us. Every time I turn, he turns too. Aaron, in New Zealand, you're interested in whether or not we will see different kinds of antelope on cheetah plains. Aaron, it's unlikely. I suppose because it's a bit more open, the possibility of seeing greater numbers of wildebeest is there. The possibility of seeing something like a sable is there. It is unlikely, though. I'm going to leave that fellow. Clearly, he's just making a joke of Brian. There, now we've got you. Now we turn the other way. Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. He's just marking his territory now. So, Aaron, no, I don't think we'll see different antelope species, but we will more commonly see things like jackals. We obviously had an incredible ostrich sighting there last night. So while not different antelope, yes, a few different kinds of animals that we would see here, but less commonly so. So marking his territory there, he's got glands between his front hooves, so you would have seen him scraping there, and then he put his head down on the ground. He's got glands on his in front of his eyes called preorbital glands, if I'm not mistaken, and with those he will leave his scent, the pheromones of his being there in that little sort of dust bowl that he's got, that he's created for himself in the clearing. The wildebeest has basically three needs for his territory. One, a good rubbing post. Now that will normally mean a cut-off stump somewhere around here. I haven't seen one here. Normally they're quite easy to spot. Two, a midden. So he would have made his midden where he's standing now. And three, a very good shady tree that he can lie underneath. Well, he's spoilt for choice in this particular clearing. But they do like a small clearing like this to be their territories, and then when the females come through, they'll basically herd them into the clearings and try and make sure that they hang around long enough in order for him to mate with them. But like I say, I think their mating season is probably just about over. I haven't seen our big herd around for a little while. They've done so well this year. Hello, Debbie in Vancouver. Very valid question from you, of course. I said yesterday that duiker are not only herbivorous, that they have been seen eating birds sometimes. And you very wisely have asked how on earth they catch birds. Do they leap into the air? Do they climb trees and fetch them out of their nests? Do they swoop down from on high upon birds? No, they don't. They have been seen eating nestling birds, nestling ground birds. So something like I don't know, Franklin chick sort of huddling in the nest might be become a victim of a duiker. And I suspect it's only been seen probably once or twice, but it is not uncommon for a herbivore to go to a it's normally bone sucking. They'll normally suck on bones, but sometimes they will eat carrion. They will go and eat sort of pieces of rotting flesh every so often, just if there is a major nutritional deficiency of some kind, and they know that the meat, I don't know how they know, but they know that the meat has got some form of nutrition that they need. Possibly it's iron. In the case of bones, it's calcium and phosphorus that their bodies tell them they need. And I always found that really fascinating, and I'll tell you why. Because we as human beings, in theory we are, we learn about food, and we learn what we're supposed to eat, and you've got to have a green and a yellow and a starch and a meat. And then when our children don't eat the way we think they should, then we try and force feed them. Our bodies have the most amazing innate ability to tell us what we need to eat. And this whole notion of 5 fruits and 5 vegetables a day, and you must eat either 3 times a day, and then newfangled theories that you must eat 6 times a day in small amounts. I mean, the most obvious dietary pattern to follow, I think, is to eat as naturally as you can, so as food as natural as possible, and secondly, to listen to your body, because your body is a remarkably, what should we say, it's got an incredible ability to regulate itself and to tell you what it needs and to find out what it needs. And your body needs completely different things from friends' bodies. Obviously, Brian's body needs completely different things to my body. What's up, Brian? How was that granola bar? Delicious. You see, Brian's body needs granola bars every so often. And so, that the duiker should know whether it should eat a... So whether or not a diker knows what to eat and when to eat a bone or a nestling bird is simply a function of the body telling it. And I think that's absolutely remarkable. And then we were just looking at a gnu, and I think it's Tim and his wife Jan are interested in whether or not a gnu is the same thing as a wildebeest. It is indeed the same thing as a wildebeest. There are a number of different kinds of gnus, and I think the original gnu was the brindled gnu of East Africa. They're the ones that migrate in those vast herds across the plains there. Now that is a blue wildebeest, the same as the one we've just seen, but it is a different subspecies. And it's got a white beard. That's how you tell the difference between that one and the blue wildebeest that we get here. So, but same species, same adaptations for long distance running. The other wildebeest species that we get in South Africa is called a black wildebeest. And they're beautiful animals. They really are spectacular. Much darker than the blue ones, with a white mane, white tail, and they're found normally in the drier regions or high-veld regions up into the Kalahari and the sort of semi-desert areas before you hit the Kalahari and into Natal as well. Beautiful, beautiful gnus, black gnus if you like. And of course they get that name from their call. And the blue wildebeest has a very amusing call, especially if you watch their facial expressions. We all know that gnus look slightly odd, and their calls are even odder when you watch them doing it. They go bow, 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 gnu, no. You watch their faces while they do it. It's very funny. Now you may be hearing every so often a wow, wow, wow. I don't know what it is. I suspect it's in the engine, which is not ideal. I'll tell you what I think it is, Brian. You know, of course, that Brent Smith was driving this car this morning. And Brent Smith was chasing what?
Wild dog.
Exactly, which means, probably means that there's an entire vegetation biome underneath the hood of this car. And it's probably squeaky. Oh, yes. Here we go. That's the first one. I think we better just open the hood and look inside. And of course in other parts of the world, other than the United States, we call this a bonnet. Don't see any piece of vegetation in here. Of course, my looking in here is rather the same as me trying to perform open heart surgery. I have no idea what's going on inside here, other than if there was some organic matter, a tree perhaps sticking up, I'd know it shouldn't be there. Can't find anything in there that might be making a noise. Maybe it was that stick. Shall we drive on and see? Let's see if that's made a difference. No. Oh, you know what it is? It's the windscreen wipers, everybody. They're over. They're off now. I must apologize for casting aspersions on Brent Smith's character there. Not on his character, but on his treatment of the vehicle. It's entirely my fault. I think I turned it on. I'll turn it on again. Now it's going quickly. Marvelous. that I'm glad that you found it so very funny that it was making that noise. And given that it is clearly you're a very happy person and it's easy to make you laugh, I'll just, if you're ever feeling down, send us through a tweet and I'll just click on the windscreen wipers and you can have a laugh. Yes, they're off now. Unless they're on intermittent. Diana, an interesting one from you, and we've just seen some of those very animals. You've asked, is there a term for an animal that is both a browser and a grazer? And Diana, the answer is absolutely yes. It's called a mixed feeder. So an impala is a mixed feeder. They will graze and browse. It's one of the reasons they're so successful as a species. Very unlike most of the other antelope out here. Yes, you might find a kudu every so often trying to eat some grass, but they don't try very hard. Same with bushbuck, same with nyala, and so they are, they're very strictly browsers generally. A mixed feeder is something like an impala, and then you want to know also what would you call something that samples every so often, something like a bone or a piece of meat. Well, I guess strictly speaking you'd call that thing an omnivore, but I don't think that any of the animals out here or any of the herbivores eat sufficient meat to be called omnivores. The one exception, of course, is the warthog. And warthogs, I suppose, could be called omnivorous to some extent. They're very close relatives. The bush pig are definitely omnivorous. They eat lots of meat and they're often found scavenging on carcasses at night. I've never seen one here. They do apparently occur. I've never seen one in the Sabi Sands. The other obvious omnivore, of course, the baboon. Baboons are definitely omnivorous. Right, we're going to head down towards Treehouse Dam and see what we can find there. Declan, a very valid question. You're 11 years old and you're clearly something of a genius. Before I answer your question, Declan, there's a bird there, Brian, that is incredibly sharp of you to have seen that. It is an eastern paradise wider with its long black tail, unusual for this time of the year because by now they should almost have lost their tails and gone into their winter plumage. Isn't that fantastic? Now that bird is basically saying to something like a little sparrowhawk, come and get me. Easy to catch. And it's advertising for females, and the females are going to be most impressed because it's taking a huge risk by flying up into the sky like that and exposing itself to attack. It's very slow with that tail. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, this is brilliant. It's going to fly over the top of us. He's a bit like that gnu, Brian. So cool. I'll quickly show you a picture of him. And you get a couple of birds like that with those long tails. That's in there. The eastern paradise wider. We get the pin-tailed wider here as well. I just stopped speaking because there's an elephant shouting, but to the south of the reserve. Shaft-tailed we don't find here. But all of these male birds have the same winter plumage as the females. So they lose their tails, they lose their color completely during the winter time. And that's because there's no point in having that long tail, which basically makes you a very slow and useless flyer if you're not about to mate. So, of course, during the course of the winter time, there's no mating going on, so they become camouflaged and lose that encumbrance of the tail. Every so often I keep forgetting that we're not talking, of course, to 6- and 7-year-olds. So if I am speaking to you a little bit like you're a child, I do apologize. I'm just kind of getting out of that rhythm. It is so fascinating trying to see this world through the eyes of a 6- and 7-year-old, especially not an African 6- or 7-year-old. You know, people who've never been here, have no concept of what it is. It's wonderful. Great joy. Now, with any luck, those dogs will pop out at some stage, either around here or in the far east. And Brent is around the far east of the reserve having a look. Brian, I know it isn't, but we're going to look anyway. See what I see? Oh, look at that. See if you can spot what I spotted. And if you can't, don't feel bad, because I spotted nothing. That bit of yellowness there in the middle of your screen, that's it, Brian. I thought it was a leopard looking out of the bushes at us. As you can see, it looks exactly like a leopard, doesn't it, Brian?
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, it is a spitting image of a leopard. Okay, that's embarrassing. All the way from Gibraltar. This is wonderful. Hello, Ian. You're in Gibraltar. I've often wanted to go to Gibraltar. Maybe I shall one day. You're interested in forest buffalo and Cape buffalo, and are they the same species, or are they related? Ian of Gibraltar, I'm just going to say that again because I like saying the word Gibraltar, and their relationship with each other is very close. They are in fact the same species, according to many biologists, and they... Sorry, flown away. Don't worry about them down. Oh, well done. You got them. Still there? No? Some grey-headed helmet shrikes, everybody. So Ian, it's just a different subspecies of buffalo. They are very similar, very closely related, and in fact, in many areas, they are believed to be one species and just a different race of the same species almost. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, where they do come into contact with each other, and I guess they would have a lot more before so many people were around in Africa, then they would have interbred. And so the difference between the two would have been not nearly as distinct as it is now. So for those of you wondering, a forest buffalo is a very red-coloured buffalo, much smaller than the one we get here. Looks almost identical though in shape, and they are, well, we don't find them here. They're found in the forests of West and Central Africa. Forest buffalo. Same species, different subspecies. Right, so let us pop down to the dam. I've checked this waterhole roughly 784 times in the last 2 weeks, hoping to find Karula and her little baby, tiny little leopard cubs playing, frolicking about the place. I've thus far been disappointed. They did see her with her cubs today, apparently, on Little Gowrie, which is where she has been for some time, down to the south of where we are now. We're heading south now, and if you are perhaps a new viewer, Karula, our favourite queen, she's an 12-year-old female leopard with 2 new cubs, and unfortunately she's stashed them just to the south of the boundary where we can't go, but obviously the animals are free to come and go as they please. I'm just going to get out of the way for this fellow here. Come in. Yeah, in. Nkoze in. Yawansati. Okay, so that's Elvis, and Elvis has got some tracks of a leopard there. I'm just going to talk to Brent as well. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead, Brent. There's Elvis tracking a leopard. He says he's got a male leopard tracks there. Negative, Brent. The roads have all been dragged, so I've got no tracks. Elvis has just picked up tracks of a male leopard, he says, going off Savage's track towards Shabam. I'm going to go and check the dam. there he is, just following the tracks, and that, of course, is an astonishing skill to have. To be able to follow tracks like that is unbelievable. I can't do it. All right, let's head across to Sam, get an update from him. I think he's got some antelope to show you.
Welcome everyone. We are sitting here with some kudu, some beautiful kudu that are now sitting just behind those trees. Oh, there, that's a beautiful sighting of a kudu. That's exactly what you want to see when you see a kudu, because you can, it's like they camouflage, they're trying to get the best cover that they can. So this is why this is a good visual, is because you can really see how they can blend into this environment. If you look properly, you can see on the kudu is a couple lines, streaks, but let's try and get a better visual so that we can see it a little bit better. Oh, there's another one. There we go. That's a young one. Oh, sweet. Look how sweet this little one is. Oh, man. And those, now you can distinctively see those white lines on the kudu. Incredible animals. And they can we see his little horns? Where are your little horns? I know, so he must be a young little male. Oh no, that's great. This is another small one. This is a great shot. Wow. The mother's just behind this little one here. Fitting right into the bush here. Look at those ears, guys. Those ears will move around in so many different directions to hear what is going on in the bush. This morning when we were driving with the wild dogs, we came across an inyala, which is very similar to a kudu. People often make that mistake. And the inyala was hiding in the bush. So as we came past, it was a big male inyala, a young one, and a female. And the wild dogs didn't notice the male that was in the bush, and they went after the female, and they just chased and chased and chased. So it was an incredible sighting with the wild dogs this morning, and they would do very similar with these kudu. If they came across these kudu would run. But what's so magnificent about a kudu is they can jump very, very high, which gives them a great advantage when trying to get away from predators. So just imagine those legs jumping high. They've all adapted different ways to get away from predators. Wow. Wow, guys. It's been an incredible day. It's been an unreal day. My adrenaline is still a little bit shot from this morning. But Deanna's just said, look at those incredible white lines on the kudu. They are really magnificent. And just, I mean, in general, they like really help the animal for what it needs, you know, from a survival instinct or a survival point of view. You know, they never did it for beauty, but beauty stands in the way in which they adapt, which is incredible, and it's great to see that. So Deanna, I'm really, really enjoying the kudu this afternoon, especially those youngsters, and seeing them with their mother is just such a special thing. But myself and Dave, hey Dave, we had one of the best mornings this morning together. We've only driven with each other twice. This is our third time.
Oh, one of my best.
Yeah, it was one of the best. And we were inside of the block, like chasing after these wild dogs. And I had the radio going crazy. And next thing I knew, this inyala just shot out, boom. And there were two wild dogs on either side of us that were chasing this inyala. It was literally the most unreal experience I've ever had. And I'm sure I'm going to have many, 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 so let's not worry too much. But we've seen lots of tracks of elephants. We've seen signs that they've been around here. So we're going to see if we can find an elephant. And our best bet, I reckon, is to go towards Buffelshoek Dam and maybe see if there are some drinking down by the water's edge. It almost feels like the wild dogs were here this afternoon, like just after we left them. When we went and ate some lunch, I reckon they came here and just scared everything off, because it is very, very quiet up here in the afternoon. Hey, David, there hasn't been a sound or a squeak from any direction. So it seems like the wild dogs really came and had a presence here today. I'm not sure who was there this morning viewing it, but it was an exciting morning. James Richard, you're asking me to keep an eye out for a bushbuck for you. Of course, yes, I'm going to do my very best. They're also great animals to see out here, and we are in the most perfect location to find them because we're in very thick foliage. So just as we saw the kudu in their perfect environment in which that you will find them, we most likely find a nyala or a bushbuck. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled to find anything. Hopefully we do. But James, Mr. James Henry, has been around the property. He's been with some elephants this afternoon, and I'm sure we can go and find those same elephants and just have a look at them, because I'm also really excited to have a look and spend some time with some young ellies. All right. There's an update that there are apparently elephants close to Djuma Dam, so we're going to try and make our way towards there, but at the moment we're about to come into Buffelshoek. So let's creep in here nice and slowly and see if there's anything lurking around here. Potentially a bushbuck for James, I'm searching, or a hippo, or a terrapin, or some buffalo, who knows? What do you think, Dave?
I reckon we're going to see something special.
Dave reckons we're going to see something special. Buffalo, everyone. Wow. Here we go. Yo, there's quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Incredible, guys. 6, 7. Let's just sit here with the buffs for a little bit and take them in. So, we saw a huge buffalo, large herd, moving across towards Djuma Dam this morning. It was like crazy to see two buffaloes fighting against each other with those big horns. Can you imagine those two horns that you are seeing in the camera now were ramming against each other this morning? It was such an unreal sighting to see at the Djuma Dam. Apparently some people could hear it on the Djuma Dam cam. That must have been very, very special to see. But this is where myself and Dave were moving the other day to try and find the lions. They were just on the other side of this watering hole. So hopefully we can actually see some lions again today. You know, you never know. You know, the last 2 days have just been a whole bunch of surprises. So we have any opportunity to see something. Wow. Oh, beautiful shot. Wow, look how much they're enjoying that water. Lucy in Columbus is asking, Sam and Dave, please can you do another rain dance for us? That's right, Dave, we did a rain dance.
We did a while ago.
We did it. That was with you. It was you, me, and James.
Correct.
Yes, that was myself and James. As you can see, there is a lot of water in the watering hole, and you know, I think they might need some more water in this watering hole in order to have a good dry season that's about to come up in the winter. So there's every chance that I might just get out the vehicle with Dave at some point and just see what we can do in terms of getting the gods on our side and bringing the water from the heavens to these beautiful buffalo that are sitting just in front of us. So Lucy, maybe, just maybe, we'll do that. But have a look at that shot. If you are watching at the moment, do a screenshot, because look at that reflection of the buffalo in the water. That's a great shot, Dave. Fantastic. Wow. So cool. You can really see the horns in the water as well. He's a big male. Wow. There he goes. And Annette C on YouTube is asking, why does it look like the buffalo are chewing all the time? Well, this is a story where you can talk about for a while. There's a number of animals, such as cows, that are ruminants, which means that they eat and graze, and then they chew it. It's called a cud. They make a little cud inside their mouth, and their saliva, and then it goes down into their stomachs, and then it comes back up back into their stomachs, into their mouth, back into their stomachs, into their mouth, back into their stomachs. And it's just the way in which they eat. It's the way in which they can obtain the most nutrients from the food that they are eating. So all different types of animals have different ways in which their stomachs work. You get hind gut fermentation, which is the way in which zebra work. So it's all very, very different. And buffaloes are the ruminants. So if you're interested in studying a little bit more about ruminants, have a look, see what they do. #SafariLIVE if you've seen another animal that is a ruminant. Let us know. We'd love to know it. And I'll write it down in my book, Roads, Memories and Dynamics Through Different Areas of Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains. And that's the way in which we can just learn a little bit more about this ecology. We can learn more about the buffalo, more about the impala, more about the bushbuck. You know, it's been a long time since I've been in the bush, so learning through the viewers is going to be incremental for my growth. It's going to be very important. So I'm very grateful for all the information that you guys have on anything that you find out there. Wow. Wow, so they're most likely going to be sitting in the water for the duration of today. They probably just had something nice to drink, and they will relax and see if they can go and graze up on the land. So unless we see anything like wild dogs or lions that come in the area, we'll make our way back here, because there's every chance that a predator could come back to this area and see what they can find for dinner this evening. So with that, let's see if we can go and find a predator that might be lurking in the bushveld around here, and maybe, just maybe, they'll take us back here and give us a sighting that we have never seen before. So let's get up, get out, and see what we can find. So this morning we were moving very, very quick through it. Oh wow, look in front of us here. It's called the go-away bird. Can you see it? I'm just going to point it out today. There it is, the go-away bird. It's a beautiful bird. We've seen it a number of times. I've put it on my bird list already. But it's a great shot of the bird, and you can quite clearly see that crest that is on top of the bird, and that is a very, very noticeable attribute of that bird and of that species, which is the chirico. And I have just met the acquaintance of the cousin, the Naisna Luri, or the Naisna chirico, a couple of months ago, and that was a magnificent bird to see. So it is so great to see the cousin here and get to know the cousin a bit better. Often when I'm walking, tracking a leopard or tracking a lion around here, these guys go crazy and they think, oh, have a look at this one that's just came up on this branch here. There's another one that's just came up here. Now you can see a silhouette of the go-away bird just in the tree here. Look at it as it blends into that tree. I almost didn't see it for a second. almost look like part of the branch. But if you want to screenshot that, that's a great shot. Ooh, oh my word. I think James is with a leopard. Let's go and see what James is up to. For now, we're going to see if we can find ourselves a leopard.
Well, now this is very spectacular indeed. We, unfortunately, didn't find Tingana, but Elvis found Tingana. He tracked him in here. Remember, we saw him walking on foot there. He found a kill where Tingana had taken out a male impala, and of course the male impala are being eaten left, right and centre because they're fighting with each other. Oh, that's wonderful. That might be the last view we get of him. But he's killed a male impala, and Elvis found him on foot, went in, got the vehicle, and it is very, very thick with bush in here. So I'm not sure that we're going to see him again. I'll reverse slightly and see if we can't get a better view. Just going to ease very slowly along. I'm afraid that's the best view we're going to get. Unless we drive basically onto the top of him, we won't see him. Anyway, this is where he is. He's got a very big male impala. Unfortunately, not many sort of marula trees around here, so he's going to struggle to hoist this kill, but with any luck, he'll find a tree to stash it in, and he'll be here for the next few days. That's a real pity. We did some serious driving to try and get in here because it is very thick. The elephants have made an incredible mess. They've pushed over 100 knobthorn trees in here, and we got that one view. And then as you came live, obviously, he moved away. I'm just going to reverse again a little bit. We're not going to get a view here, everyone. You got any view there? So he's in there, everyone, I'm afraid. You see him there, Brian?
No.
He's here. He's just over the top there. You should be able to see him breathing. Just moving through there. There he is. Incredible sighting there of Tingana catching flies. So just let's appreciate, first of all, the colour, the wonderful colour, his dappled spots, and his brilliant camouflage, of course. And just imagine walking through this area. Pretend you were Elvis tracking there. You saw him walking along the tracks. Tingana, I think, had gone down to the water to have a drink. And he then came back towards this area, and Elvis followed his tracks, found him eating on the kill. Tingana then slunk off into the bush where he is now, and will no doubt, he's been eating for a long time. You can see him panting away there. He'll go back towards the kill at some stage, and I hope that he hoists it up. We're quite close to what we call Treehouse Dam here. And, I mean, we came down here hoping to find the dogs, but Elvis and the crew that he's with were looking basically exactly where we were going to look for the wild dogs, and they didn't have any luck with them. So I think quite possibly they are still on the reserve. They did do some road maintenance today, which means that all of the roads have been dragged. It means that big heavy tyres been dragged over them, and that means, of course, the tracks are going to be almost impossible to see unless they are smoking hot, basically, unless the animals just walk there now. A very nice inquiry here from Doodle about an injury that Tingana had. And Doodle, you're saying you're guessing his injury is better, is fixed, because he's managed to kill. Doodle, there are two aspects to that question. The first is, yes, I think he has healed. I haven't seen him moving. I've seen him lying down twice since that big injury that he had. But I'm imagining the distance that he's covered is vast, so I think he's probably fine. The second thing to say about that Doodle is that it is a male impala. Now, although a male impala for a leopard is, well, I mean, it's approaching size limit for a female. For a male, not so much, but it is still an impressively large animal. What you find, Doodle, is that because the males impala are now fighting with each other, they're basically only thinking about one thing, and that's the females. And the rut and the mate, and sort of trying to keep a territory. They forget to eat, they lose their sense of vigilance, and so they're actually pretty easy to kill. So for an injured leopard, now I don't think he is injured anymore, but if he was, you'll find that a male impala is actually a pretty good animal to try and catch. Dinga, you make a very good point. You say that if Tingana was a female, which of course he inescapably isn't, he'd find all of the best den sites, because he's always finding great places to stash his kills, and indeed himself. Yes, I agree with you. I think it's his exceptional experience of termite mounds. Okay, everybody, what we're going to do, I'm afraid, is move out of here. We might come back later. Obviously, there are a few vehicles trying to get in here. We're the only ones that can see him. So we're going to pull out now, and let's go and see if we can find those dogs before it gets dark, and we may come back a little bit later. Wonderful to see our friend Tingana. So the chaps who found him can't actually see him now, so I think it's only fair. We've had a nice view. Let's get out of here. We'll let them in. You'll get about a 1 out of 5, 1, 2 out of 5 in there. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Well, what we should have done, of course, is come in from this road, but we didn't realize how close this road was. I think our plan from here, everyone, is going to be to go further east, perhaps towards the Mulwati drainage. We'll see if we can't find tracks of those dogs. While we get out of this rather thick block, it's going to make a big noise and jigger with the current sound configuration. Let's head across to Sam, see what he's doing, and I'll catch up with you once we're out.
Oh man, you've just been sitting with Tingana on a kill, haven't you? You are very lucky. You are very, very lucky. I saw Tingana once when he was mating. That was the last time I saw Tingana, but now you've seen Tingana on a kill. Very, very lucky. And James has just said that he's going to come and look for the wild dogs in the Mulwati. That is exactly where we are right now. We are sitting in this drainage line, very, very thick drainage line, just to see if we can see anything that might be rustling in the bushes here. We've got quite an incline coming our way. I haven't driven this area before, so I'm very, very kind of interested in where we're going. Okay, here you go. All right. Hold on, everyone. Ooh. Aren't these vehicles incredible? Here we go there. We're now coming into the block. Oh, sorry, out of the block. And this is exactly where we wanted to find ourselves. So we're going to see if we can find the tracks of the wild dogs again. And if we can find them, we can follow up on them and watch them do something amazing. Like kill an impala. How would that end our day? We've had the most incredible day, so there's every chance that something like that could happen. And hopefully you'll see the day end with some dancing for the rain. Hopefully we can get some rain with some dancing. But I don't know. I would prefer to just see if we can find a cheetah or a leopard before I start making a fool of myself on live TV. I don't know, would you dance on live TV? It's quite a nerve-wracking thing to do. But you know what? If it brings rain, Dave, it's worth it, eh? If it brings this beautiful environment that has given us so much over the last couple of days, then I'm very happy to do it. Not a problem. Have a look at the skyline over there. It's beautiful with that tree, knobthorn tree. See a few colors in the sky this afternoon. Some whites, some blues, some grays. It's nice to just be relaxing after a very, very long day of experiencing such incredible wilderness. And that's what's magical about the Sabi Sands, is that you can go from watching wild dogs sprinting down the riverbed, and then you can go to watching the most incredible sunset. So we're very, very privileged to be working in a job like this. Right. So we're just following the Mawati drainage at the moment. So I'm going to see if I can bring you guys into my kind of thought process. This is where we lost the dogs this morning. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep an eye on the road for the tracks, as well as trying to keep an eye out on the drainage line, because we could quite easily watch something moving in the bush very quickly, and that could be a wild dog or an Nyala running, and it'll just be like this, and then everything changed, the tempo changed.
Sorry about that. The camera battery on that very nice night camera, not so good sort of battery camera, has died. So Sam will be back online anytime soon. We've left the leopard. He is lying in the sweet bush where we last saw him. And we're now heading towards the drainage line, the big river that runs through the middle of this great reserve of ours. And we're hoping that there are going to be dogs either lying down in it or very close to it. That, of course, is the Wati drainage line. No idea what that means. Often these names are lost in history and, of course, lost largely in translation. So, for example, there's a river at a reserve south of us called the Tugwan. Now, many years from now, people will say, well, what on earth is a Tugwan? And the reality is that a Tugwan is nothing. A Tugwan doesn't exist. But the word Itegwane does exist, and it's the Zulu word for hamerkop, or the bird that is known as a hammerhead or hamerkop. And of course, if you didn't know that, the word had kind of been slowly changed over the years, it would be totally meaningless. Now, I often wonder about many of the river names that we find out here, if that hasn't happened as the years have gone by. So we're now on Twin Dams Road. The drainage line or river that I'm talking about is just off to the eastern side of us there, on the left-hand side of your screen. So we're going to ease our way gently down here, and then probably along Mamba Road, I think, will be our best bet. Let's see if we can't find the doggies on Number Road. Brian, are the tyres looking all right? Back left? Good, good. Just felt a little bit fishtaily at the back there. So you mean it's not quite as hard as it might be?
No, it's okay.
Hello, Doug. An interesting one from you. You're in Connecticut, where I actually have a cousin living. I have a cousin living in Connecticut. And you're interested in why it is that Karula should keep her cubs in the same place for so long when, as you rightly say, is it not common for them to move their cubs quite often? And the answer is yes, it is quite common for them to move their cubs quite often. But if she has found a place, remember they're not in a den so much as they are being stashed in one place. Now, in a den means in a hole in the ground that is eventually going to kind of go get sort of fetid and fill with dung and disease and sort of muck like that and attract predators. Well, then yes, she is going to move them very often. But now they're mobile. And what I suspect, and I don't know this for sure, she's going to lose us. Long before we can turn out of here. What is that?
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
We lost you just now. What happened? You had to go to James. Oh well, it's okay. James is a great person to go to. We missed you though. We went down into the drainage line. We looked to see if we could find something and we didn't manage to find anything. So you didn't actually miss on much. You just missed me going into that, which was fun. But I just want to show you quickly, because we're going to do it a bit later, but let's have a look at that moon in the daytime there. It's incredible. I think you can get a good shot of it. Look at the moon. Oof. That's the moon, guys, and it's going to be such a great moon tonight. And hopefully when it gets dark, I'm going to just try and show you it in the darkness. But I just wanted to show you the hare, the bunny rabbit, or otherwise bunny rabbit. That's the way my father used to say when I was a kid. Sam, have a look at the moon, and you could see a bunny in it. So it was my dad, and it was actually someone else that also told me that. And I've always remembered that. I always see the ears in the moon. Can you see it, Dave? Can you see a bunny rabbit in the moon, like in the picture of the moon?
Within it, I think I can make it out.
I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that can see it. Let me know. Can you see a bunny in the moon? Oh, cool. So I heard someone else has been taught that before. That's cool. I'm glad. I'm not the only one that can see a bunny in the moon. Oh, wow. Just while we're looking at some of the magnificent views of nature, let's have a look at that sun just coming out of the sky there. That's beautiful, eh? So privileged to be sitting here to see such magnificent sights. Nature really brings such happiness into people's lives. The more that you can watch sunsets, the more that you can do some stargazing, think the better in which you will feel. You'll feel a little bit more connected to this beautiful planet. But while we're going through here, we're going to see if we can hear the sound of a squirrel alarm call, or even a bird alarm call, because these wild dogs could be anywhere. As I said, they could just jump into the screen. Next thing we know, they're running, and we've got to try and keep up with it. Look into this thick foliage, but also I know it was James Richard who wanted to see a bushbuck. We're also in an area where you can quite clearly see bushbucks if you look closely, because it's very, very thick here. So I'm just looking in every direction. Keep your eyes peeled, everyone. I think their camouflage, it's called cryptic coloration. So on the bushbuck, you'll see a number of speckles, white speckles on it, and that helps it look like it's, it blends into the bush because it looks like sun going through the leaves, and it has little speckles. So sometimes that's what helps it camouflage in this dense thicket of the bushbuck. So you've almost got to look and see if you can see sunlight peering through the bushes. Sometimes it'll tell you a little sign that there's a bushbuck close by. Oh. Wow. Regina is saying that indeed there is a bunny in the moon, and it comes from Japanese folklore. How fascinating. I am very, very fond of listening to all types of folklore, whether it be Khoikhoi, which is the indigenous people of southern Africa, the Khoikhoi. They lived up in the Cederberg. I used to love learning their stories, and if possible, if you have any stories that you would like to share with me, please hashtag SafariLIVE and send it over Twitter, and I'll be happy to read them and share them. Love to know about the folklore of the rabbit in the moon. This is exactly where we were this morning while these wild dogs were running. It was absolutely chaotic out here. It was chaos. But you know what? We're going to go up. Wow, this is beautiful. I just got a message from Linda. I didn't quite copy that. Louise, could you go again with that message from Linda? We all see something on the moon. Yeah. Don't worry, Linda. I don't worry at all. Whatever you see on the moon is what you should see. I mean, you could see anything else up there. We just see bunnies. As you can see, you can quite clearly see that the wild dogs have been here. There's nothing. They're all hiding in the bushes, thinking that we're wild dogs. Anyway, while we look, see what we can find out here on Twin Dams Road, let's go and see what James is up to.
Okay, we're in the Far East now, everyone, and oh, that's a pretty picture, Brian. Look at that, isn't that delicious? A little bit of lava flowing out of the grey sky over the mountains there. And we'll just have a listen while we sit here and hope maybe to hear the call of the wild dog. Or indeed the terrified call of something being eaten by wild dogs. So we've checked one of the main arterial routes between the Wati drainage line up until Drakensberger Road, which provides these wonderful views over the west. And we'll now take a road called Battalier back down towards the Wati drainage line That's where the dogs were last seen this morning. Well done, Brian. Very nice.
Thank you, James.
And in the background, the evening chorus is beginning. The long-tailed shrikes, or magpie shrikes. Ringneck doves. Interestingly, I don't know that the sparrows, which are the first ones to call in the morning, I'm not sure that those grey-headed sparrows call during the course of the evening. I think they make their morning songs and then not again. Take a deep breath, everybody. Just have a little bit of a woosah if you've had a rough day or a rough night, depending on where you are in the world. That kind of view and this kind of fresh air around you and the sounds of the African wild will no doubt help you to calm down. Take a deep breath in and out again. Oh. Is it not marvelous, Brian?
Mm.
So it is with our job. Right, let's go on and find some dogs. It's my action station's point. Did you see that, Brian? This skull over here has been used in roughly 7,586 sightings, and it is now being placed, I suspect strongly by Brent Smith, against that termite mound so that he doesn't have to extricate himself from the wires of the vehicle when he wishes to talk about it. This hapless buffalo, of course, was killed by the Djuma Pride some time back. That's enough of that. Last time I picked it up, everybody, this foul, stinking liquid came pouring out of one of the eye sockets and onto my shoes. Very distasteful indeed. Oh, that sky is getting quite spectacular. I'll show you when we get to the junction of Battalier Road, where I've no doubt the dogs are going to be. That's absolute rubbish. I have no idea where they are, but I'm hoping they're somewhere around here. Bless you, Brian. Bless you, Brian. Bless you, Brian.
Thank you.
Hello, Ashley Lee on Twitter. Ashley Lee, and you are interested in why it is that we broadcast at the times we do. Is it because the animals are most active? This is exactly why. There are two young nyarabus. Hello. They've just got their adult coloration. Their horns are still growing. They're rather splendid fellows. Ashley, basically, traditional safari has always been held kind of from dawn to sort of mid-morning and then again into the evening. And that is exactly as you say or suggest, because the animals are most active at those times of the day. It's called crepuscular activity, dawn and dusk. And it's definitely the best time. Middle of the day, in midwinter, the midday is actually quite nice. You can go out and be quite comfortable out. But in the middle of summer, you really want to be back home by 8 o'clock in the morning under the shade with something cool to drink next to you, because it is so very hot. And in the winter, it's not that cold, and the mornings are just too glorious. And so to sleep through them, you see how that Nyala agreed with me there, Brian?
Mm.
Yeah, he was agreeing. As I said, the morning's glorious. He looked up at me as if to say, absolutely. And likewise, this time of the day is just too beautiful. That bird you can hear calling is the Coqui Franklin, saying, Brian?
Coqui, 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 coqui.
Yes, that's exactly right. Ooh. Oh, Peter, while we watch the sun go down, we're going to get a view of the sun. I was just attacked by a dead stick. Ryan, is that any good? Or should I go around the corner? How's that? Look at that, everybody, as we watch the sun peeping through the clouds there. Dogs at Djuma Pan, we're going now. Just hold on tight, everybody. Sun, get the sun. Dogs are at Djuma Pan. Here we go. Very exciting. They're on the dam wall. Well spotted, whichever Zoomy managed to do that. We're about 7 minutes from there. Sam's probably a bit closer. Well done, Corin. You saw them. Ryan, do you think everyone can tell I'm excited to see them?
Not at all, James, not at all.
Shall I drive even faster? Right, we're on our way, everybody. 7 minutes. We don't want to drive like total maniacs, but it's difficult not to when the prospect of wild dogs on the hunt in the dusk arrives. While we drive along, the Pinchy Whiner, I forgot exactly who asked about Pinchy Whiner. I just became so excited. And we want to know if we found him again. Peter in Jacksonville, Pinchy Whiner, I'm afraid, has not been seen since his untimely blocking out of his home by a buffalo. I did open it out again. I haven't managed to see him again, though, and I don't suspect that if he is still alive, we will see him again until the water comes. Hold on. Woo! Gently over the bump. Speed to the next bump. Hold on. Gently over the bump. Speed to the next bump. Now, please, everybody, if you are carrying a drink, finish it now. If you are wearing dentures, take them out. Things are about to get bumpy. Brian is doing ballet at the back. Odd thing to be witnessing. Was it ballet, Brian? No, it's a roller coaster. Oh, I see. He's got his arms up in the air. Don't worry, if we do see something exciting on the way, we will stop. Oh, hello. Right. We're not going to push him out of the way. Very large elephant bull in must. We'll give him right of way, I think. Could you move? Thank you. Come on, press on. That's it. He has got massive tusks. Massive tusks. Oh, that's wonderful. Look at him. Right, we're just going to sneak past him. He really he's an impressive fellow, this. And I don't want to give him a fright. Mainly because he will then give us a fright. Hold on tight, Brian. We're going to nip past him, everybody. He'll probably turn to face us. He'll shake his head, maybe. No, he is so chilled. He didn't even go up. Thanks, old boy. Isn't he one? I can't believe that. Turn around, shake their heads just to say, what are you doing? He didn't give it. Flying continental about me driving like a maniac behind him. Nearly there, everybody. How are the tyres that side? All okay. Okay. Nearly there. Nearly there. I imagine Sam will probably arrive at exactly the same time. And we're going to have 2 dogs on the sighting for now. At least 2 vehicles on the sighting, not 2 dogs. I I don't suppose Sam would like to be called a dog. I wouldn't like to be called a dog. Also, buffalo at the pan. I would suggest quite humbly, everybody, that you switch yourselves over to the jam cam feed, simply because, well, you'll be able to see the animals rather than my mug driving like a, well, should we say, not Lewis Hamilton. He's not doing so well this year. So what we're going to do is go to the dam camera. You can check out the dogs and the buffalo. You'll hear my voice. I haven't arrived yet. It's just a magical sound of my voice over the buffalo and the dogs. And the one buffalo is chasing the dogs around. This is unbelievable. We're 1 minute from there. 30 seconds actually. Here we go. They're getting there now. So you're having a great sighting now, and as we get into the sighting, we'll turn away from the dam cam, and then you will see us coming in. So if you watch us now, well, you may be able to see us now coming across the wall. There are the dogs, there are the buffalo. This is awesome. Look at that. Check that out, everybody. They're very unhappy about the dogs. I'm going to have to call these in quickly. Stations, pack of wild dogs at Djuma Dam. Animals are, yeah, they're static for the moment in the dam. How fantastic. Look at that, look at that. Copy that. Oh, this is amazing. Trying to bite them on the bottom. Oh, bite that buffalo on the bottom. WildEarth. This is fantastic. Jeez. Now those buffalo, I mean, the dogs have got no chance of killing a buffalo like that. They're just playing. I suspect those are probably youngsters from this year. And then the other side of the dam, there are 3 on their own, and maybe those are the adults. And these youngsters are just taking a chance. Nobody's taking this very seriously. This is just wonderful. Okay, copy that, Orbs. You'll be the 3rd station. Sam, will you move out when one of the other vehicles gets here? This is just awesome. Complete piece here, come another 2 from across the other side of the dam. There are 2 other vehicles coming in here, everybody, and so, I mean, we've got Sam and me here now. We won't both be able to be here, but whoever got a better view at the time will move out. I'm going to move now across to the other side of the dam. So let's head across to Sam, and you can get a view with him.
Guys, we are sitting back here with the wild dogs. This is the 2nd time I'm seeing them today. They've just been sitting with a buffalo. I saw you were just with James, so that was very exciting. And they're now heading towards WildEarth Pan. Oh, guys, let's have a see and look, see what they're doing. Wow, look at this. As you can see, they're having a little drink from the water here, and they're going to be heading. It looks like they're heading in a westerly direction. They have a quick sip of water, and they'll be on their way. Wow, this is incredible. Look at them drink, guys. They've probably had quite a long day. I mean, I was running around this area with these wild dogs, and I didn't see them drink once when they were running around, and now they're just sitting here having a quick drink to eat, and now they're going to be off. You can actually see them start. Let's have a look and see what they're doing, these two over here. Wow, what are you guys up to? All right. Just want to chat to James on the radio. James, if you copy, please let me know when I must leave. Wow. 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 Wow, look at this, guys. Copy that. Wow, guys. This is unreal. Let's watch this. Look at them playing over here. This is incredible. This is such a magnificent sighting. Oh my word. Here they come, here they come. Whew. They're gonna come. They're just playing around our vehicle. Oh wow. Oh wow. This is amazing. Look at here, look at these. Oh guys, what are you doing? No wonder you wanted some water. You're just running around like crazy. Wow. Wow. Oh. Guys, this morning we were sitting on this exact location when we found them, just by quarantine, and they've come back, and now they're just playing here, providing so much joy. You can just see these white tails playing. Look at those white tails just playing in the... Oh man, this is incredible. Yo. See, you know, what's been so noticeable over the time that I've been here, I've watched so many different animals over the last couple days playing with each other, and it's just so great to watch because you can really see now how important play is for an animal. Wow, let's carry on. Okay guys, we've just left them. I think James is just ahead to see if...
They're chasing here through, everybody. They're coming through this bush here. There they are. They're on the run. See the youngsters playing behind there. It's just standing there right there, just basically at the final control. There they are. The three adults came herring across here to hunt. The impala went scattering. They're the other side of the clearing here. I wonder if one didn't go in through that fence. We've got them here, or just two of them here on the road. Elvis, what's your position? Okay, copy that, Elvis. Move in. Sam, you stand by there. I'm going to follow these adults. Just see where, I think this is probably the alpha male, everyone. On the lookout for a kill. The impala have gone running down over the edge of the clearing here. Stand by on the fence there, dear is hot. Orbs, they're coming now. The front dog's coming to the western edge of quarantine. There we go. Look at them. Here they go. now. They've left the youngsters behind, mainly because the youngsters are playing like you saw them doing with Sam there, and these ones are now on the serious hunt. They're on the lookout for something. We're going to stick with them as long as we can with this camera, because this camera is much more easy to operate in a sighting like this with dogs moving. But once it gets darker, we can bring the other camera that Sam's using in, and then we don't have to put a light on them. Some of you would have seen an amazing camera that we used last night, which basically makes light, at least night, look like day. All right, let's head across to Sam. Basically, this is split into two sightings. We've got the adults here. Sam's got the pups. Let's go across to him.
Guys, here we are with the dogs. They are moving at a rapid rate, as you can see, through this thicket. This is exceptionally exciting stuff. There's no way of telling where I should go, where I should follow up. I'm just going to follow them from the back. James is going to go to a location where he's going to best be able to watch them, where they will go, and if there's something that they might be able to feed on. At the moment, we've got such great visual of them from the back. Here's one beautiful one. Look as he comes across the car here. Wow, you are magnificent. So they're heading. Wow, here they come. All right, let's see what they want to do. Looks like they're going to carry on this way. Here's two just here. There's one over there. There's one here. There's another one there. There's a whole bunch of things happening right now. James is over there. He's doing fantastic jobs just there. As they go through the veld, look at this. This is fantastic, eh? This is fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at these two. James is on those two, so let's see if we can stay with these two for as long as possible. All right. It looks like I'll be taking over the sighting. We've got better visual because of this camera, so we can get good night shots with these wild dogs. Let's see what we can do. Here goes two. There's two just in front of us. There's another one right over there. Just want to chat to James quickly as they go through this thicket. James, do you copy James? Right, they're going through the thicket here. I think there's a road just to the west here. Let's see if we can get a visual of them running towards us. That'll be amazing. Wow, look at this, guys. Here they come. Now I get some great visual of them walking past. Fantastic. Are they about to go into this thicket, though? What is about to happen? This could be the last time we see them, unless we can find them from another position. But wait, looks, one of them stopped here. This could be a good sign. Let's switch off the vehicle. There's another one coming right next to us here. Amazing. They're all sitting here on the boundary. There's one down here. There's one right here. And the one that we're looking at right now is stopped, still in his tracks. I think he's listening for whatever he can hear out there. Listen to the sounds, everyone. You can hear the birds are going crazy. One just came right past my vehicle here. Fantastic, they're all going into the block. They might have spotted something. If they have spotted, we're going to have to try and see what we can do to get to the best visual. Dylan's asking, what is the size difference between this wild dog and a German Shepherd? It's actually quite similar. A German Shepherd is a dog that I've always wanted since I was a young man, and they seem very, very similar. Maybe the German Shepherd is a little bit slender, a little bit shorter. Okay, so it looks like they've gone down into the thicket. Sorry, I meant to say that the wild dog is a little bit more slender and shorter than the German Shepherd. But the German Shepherd does have a lot of hair on it. So you can easily disguise the slim body, because German Shepherds, as you know, are very, very good dogs at protecting their sheep. All right. We're going to follow them and see what we can do to find the best visual. I've got a feeling that they've gone into this block in front of us here. Our best decision would be to carry on down this road and see if we can meet them on the other side. Just chat to James quickly. James, do you copy James? James, I'm just driving on the western edge of quarantine. What do you think my best approach is if they've just got into the block west of this road? Copy that? Alright, so James is actually out of the sighting. I thought wasn't sure if he was completely out. So I'm on this on my own now, so this will be a test. As you can see, it's getting slightly dark out here, so it's going to be even more difficult to spot the dogs. Ooh. So this camera that we're using at the moment has really, really great night settings, so that's going to give us a really good opportunity to spot the wild dogs. So this is almost fate, because we wouldn't be using this camera right now if it wasn't for myself and David in the block other day. We dislodged the bottom panel of the other camera, so we had to use this camera. So it's almost like this had to happen, eh, Dave?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, guys, I really need to concentrate here to see if I can see them. Looks like they've thumbered in a westerly direction. Thumber means to go. So I'm going to put the camera out there, Dave. That's a great idea. Okay, we're going to go see what James is up to while we quickly see what we can do. Hopefully we can find the wild dogs and get back to you as soon as possible.
What James is up to right now is trying to get his spotlight untangled from the bird's nest of wires that he's discovered. Anyway, difficult block that those dogs have headed into, I'm afraid. So if we don't see them again, we've had a wonderful day with them. But Sam will try, and that camera is ideal for a moonlit night to be following wild dogs. So with any luck, we'll find them again shortly. We're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam now, and the reason for that is that, well, it was around about where, not Shiluba, apparently Tsagani, the leopardess that I haven't seen before, was found along the Buffelshoek cut line, and so we're just going to go and see if we can't pick her up on the way to Buffelshoek Dam. And she was hunting male impala, Brent said today, and as I was chatting when we were at the Tingana sighting, I said male impala, of course, are dying fast and furious at the moment because the leopards are dining out on them, mainly because they're not concentrating on watching out for leopards. Sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio. And I've never seen Sagani, and she, of course, is part of a long line of very golden leopards, unlike the line we're more here, the Karula line. She comes from the Campbell Koppies, a Sunset Bend female, originally in Londolozi and Mala Mala, and they are known to be very golden. Her mother was Kwatile, a very golden leopard, so I'd really love to see her. And I'm interested that she's come all the way up here. She's got a long way from Kwatile's territory. Smell that, Brian? Very floral, don't you think?
Yeah.
Gardenia-like. Oh, lovely. Going to be a delightful moonlit night this evening. And we were talking quite a lot about omnivory and herbivory and browsivory. Two words, not words at all, of course. Now, but Debbie in Vancouver, you're interested to know whether herbivores are herbivores or omnivores. Well, they're largely herbivores. I suspect they probably are not averse to eating the odd bit of meat, but they do chew on bones quite a lot. And the reason they chew on bones is that they have to have quite a lot of calcium. In fact, we're about to drive through a whole herd of beefaloes, I think. Yes, we are. They chew bones because they need calcium for the quills that they have. So, Debbie, they are sort of herbivores that engage in osteophagia. This is that huge buffalo. Again, that wonderful night camera would be wonderful here. Hello. That cow is more aged than Methuselah. She's quite impressive, isn't she, Brian? As you hang from that red bush willow tree that I parked you in.
Thank you, James.
They don't like the light either, everyone, so we're not going to put a light on them. She's really close by, though. She's probably only about 10 feet from the car. And the buffalo here don't often let us get that close. It's a really impressive set of horns she's got. Deeply aged old girl that she is. While we wait for them to disperse, Debbie, the other thing, of course, about a porcupine, which the uninitiated often don't realize, is that a porcupine is, of course, a rodent, and it is the largest rodent that we find in Africa. And so, as you know with rodents, they will eat, well, a pretty Catholic diet, they'll eat pretty much anything. Not a lot of meat. Sorry, beefies. Excuse us. Here we are, onto the cut line, and all the buffalo are walking down here. I'd love to turn the engine off, but of course, Jigger, being even older than that buffalo cow, is unable to move unless the engine is running. The young one coming to the top of the termite mound there. And what I'm going to do is just be quiet, just listen to them moving, everybody. Listen to them moving through the night. Isn't that a lovely sound? Hooves, just breaking the surface of the soil, kicking the odd dead leaf, and the odd grunt that you can hear in the background, which is in fact a big belch, lots of gas being produced by a buffalo's stomach. And the smell is wonderful because it is a smell of buffalo. We can smell the actual buffalo, but They're stepping all over aromatic plants that are then releasing their aromatic oils into the air. And because this herd is so big, that's kind of mixing with the dust that they're kicking up and the dust that they're pulling off the grasses. Every time they graze, they release a little bit more dust into the air. And while it is a delightful smell, of course, Brian will shortly start sneezing viciously, won't you, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, guys, we are back with the wild dogs. They are heading west on this road. How very exciting. We are so lucky to be viewing them again. Oh man, this is incredible. Wow. Oh, check it as they come up here. This camera is incredible that I can get such great footage of them. Here it comes. It's another one next to me. That's one. Wow. That's two. There comes another one that's coming out. This is amazing, guys. I'm so happy we bumped back into them. We found you. Hi, guys. Thank you for giving me some of the best entertainment or experience of my life today. What are you guys up to? What are you listening to? What are you looking for? Ooh, you found something. What have you found? What have you found? They've just headed into that block. Wow, that smell. Dave, can you smell that, hey? Here they come. So the other ones are standing. I'm not going to go into the block now because it's too dark. There's three here that are running past us. If you get a sighting, no, you can't. Okay, we're going to follow the ones on the road because that's safer than going into the block. So let's follow these three and see what happens. Here we can see them. They're looking out into the distance. Here they go. They're off. They're off. That could be the last sighting of them, guys. What an epic encounter that we just had with them. What an epic encounter. Did you see their reaction as they changed? I'm just going to go into this thicket. Not so far, just to see if we can see if they've seen something. But they've gone. It's very, very thick in there. And it's too dark to go in there, so I'm not going to go in there. We're just watching the antenna there. Is it alright?
Go ahead. No. Just reverse roll.
Alright, here we go. Alright. Okay, guys, we're going to see if we can get back on this road. We'll slowly go back down Rebecca's where we found them on. We may very well see a few more because that was only about 5, hey, Dave?
Yeah, I'd say.
So there's all the chance in the world that we might be able to bump into the other wild dogs. Wow. Guys, hasn't this been one of the most fantastic days? If you've watched from this morning to this afternoon, you would have seen 2 sets, 2 encounters with wild dogs. I mean, wow, what an experience. What an experience. They were playing in front of us, they were hunting in front of us today. Jeepers. Unreal experiences. I think this might be Brent over here. Let's see if it is Brent. How's it, guys? How's it going?
Good.
Did you see them run past?
No, I heard them catch something down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was, it sounded like they caught a scrub hare.
Okay.
A really high-pitched screaming.
Okay.
And there's a pilot sitting running here, so I think they're further that way.
Yeah, so we just saw them. We were with them, and then they ran into the thicket. And we weren't sure. We thought it was the best idea not to follow them into that thicket because it's really thick. I think we've had such an incredible encounter so much today. So we'll let them be out in the bush and get something to eat tonight, which is all they deserve because they've had a long, tiring day. But let's just go and see what James is up to, and we'll see you just now.
Hello, everybody. We're driving along the Biffleshoek cut line now. and we went past some elephants. And the elephants were pleased to see us. Well, they weren't really. They didn't like the light very much. But I just want to go back to, I'm not sure how much of buffalo herd you heard, but it was just the most stunning sound of them feeding through the night time there. So now let's go and see what's at the dam. You will notice that I'm not looking back as often as I might. That is simply because of course during the to spot any
putting my hat backwards because I am very relaxed and happy with such an incredible encounter of wild dogs today. Very, very lucky and privileged to have had such an experience, such a rich experience with those incredible animals that are such athletes, such incredible athletes. And I'm sure they don't really want another vehicle pestering them for the evening, so it's nice to just let them be, have something nice to eat. We're going to go back to camp, towards camp now, to get something to eat ourselves, but we've still got quite a distance to go, so we can maybe see something else this evening. We've got all the chances of potentially seeing a bush baby, maybe an aardvark, maybe beavers. At this point, nothing would suffice. I mean, such an incredible encounter and experience that day. So let's see if we can get something. I think let's just get our spotlight out. So I just want to get my spotlight out. Here's the spotlight. We've got it. Okay, let's see what else we can find. It's very important that you don't shine lights at the wild dogs because it can hurt them. So it's important that if I do see a wild dog suddenly again, that I just switch off my light. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to switch off my light now, just in case. You never know, they could be still running through this block. There were 11 of them. I want to be as considerate as possible to the creatures that have provided me such amazing experience today. So let's just get through that. But how was your experience this afternoon? Did you have a good time? Hashtag SafariLIVE, let us know how it was. We'd love to get some feedback from you. The moon is now out properly. A beautiful moon and a star out this evening. I'm just going to be still so you can see that moon. Does anyone know what star that is next to the moon? Can you see the star? Not really. It's very difficult to actually see the moon in this. Look how bright it is. It's so bright. I'm very excited to come back to a bush that is as bright as it is when it is the full moon. It's going to be very exciting. Guys, we've had some good feedback from you saying that you've had a great time today. I'm so excited that you have. Sharon, thanks. You know, I haven't had that many encounters with wild dogs in my life, so today was really the first time that I've got to spend a good period of time to understand the animal, because to really understand animals, you need to experience them. You need to see them in the flesh and see what exactly they are doing to have a good understanding of that wildlife. So watching the wild dogs today, and you know what really stood out for me this evening, Dave, you could agree with me, but when we were sitting here just now, about 5 minutes ago, and the wild dogs were standing right next to us, and they were just listening. You could just see they stopped, and three of them were just listening, and within a split second, all three of them changed their tone, changed their tempo, and they were off into the bush. So, Chiefers, that was an amazing thing to see how they work as a cooperative, you know, as a team. It was just amazing to see that. And you know, Brent was just down the road, and he thought he could have heard a scrub hare being killed just down west from us, or more southwest from us. So it was very incredible. But I'm feeling safe to switch on these lights. So I can't smell that very strong smell of the wild dog anymore. So I reckon it's okay to switch on the lights. As soon as I see them again, I'll switch it off. I promise you. You can feel safe with me. Wow. Chosen Red and many others are telling myself and Dave that it could very well be Jupiter. And if that's so, that's great. Let's have a look at it again. That star right next to the moon, just above us. Over there is Jupiter. And that's incredible. That's, if anyone doesn't know, is our biggest planet in our solar system. So our solar system are all the planets. Now, I know that they added a few other planets, but from what I remember as a kid learning it, there was 9 different planets. And all the planets revolve around the sun in a solar system. And it's just incredible when you start learning a little bit more about astrology and the way in which, you know, the universe is. It's by far my most fascinating thing. So if I get to stop and do some stars with you a bit later, at some point, ooh, I just saw something there. I can see something there, but I don't know what it is. That could very well, I don't know what that is, but I just see I could see the glaze of something there. I don't want to shine it just in case, you know, you never know that these could be the wild dogs. You just don't know, and I'm not willing to put that light on them. So what we'll do is we'll just sit here, just in case it could be. I just saw a number of eyes in there. Just in case they run past us, you never know, that it could happen. So let's just sit here for a second, see if we can hear anything. No, I'm sure it wasn't them. It was just in case, you know, just in case it was them. It would have been cool to see if they ran past, but I'm sure it wasn't. I don't want to even try and shine my light back there. They get to chill now. It's their time to eat food and relax. But anyway, we were chatting about the stars, and you know, whenever we can get the opportunity to sit down and, you know, have a look at the star from Orion's belt to Scorpio and tell some stories about it and learn about what our closest star is, I would really like that opportunity to do that with you, purely because the stars give us such a great understanding of how significant our planet really is in the greater scheme of things, and how lucky we are to have life on this planet. So when we have that opportunity, I'd love to sit down with you and chat about that. But with that, let's go and see what James is up to. He's just got back into signal. We'll see you just now.
That's what Brian said. When we see something interesting. I know, I can't stop myself. Anyway, sorry we lost picture there for a while. We came back past Beefleshoek Dam, where there was a beetle, and he was sort of standing about the place, looking nervous. And now we're going to head back in a westerly direction for home. And with any luck, we might find a leopard along here. There were tracks of a young male around this area earlier today, and that, of course, would probably equal Quarantine or Gunuma, both of whom have been conspicuous by their absence for the last, what do you think? Right, I think the last time we saw them was when we had them just before Big Week, which was in early December. So, I mean, that's almost 5 months ago. I haven't heard much from them at all. They are, of course, now at the age, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, they are 4 and a bit year, they're 4-3, just over 3-year-old male leopards, and they're over 4 now, aren't they? Oh dear. Born 2011. That's right, they're over 4. They will have headed off sort of, well, they'll have disappeared now, mainly because there are still males around here, and they will want to set up their own territories. They're getting to that age now. We haven't seen anything other than what I've told you about since we last saw you, so no more elephants, just that buffalo. No more animals of the night. It's now at this point when the need to describe what we would be seeing if we were to see them becomes the sort of major source of conversation. So we talk about civets and genets, that might see them, or wildcats, or servals, or chameleons. I had a question on Twitter the other day about could we still see chameleons this time of year? Yes, absolutely we could. I'm surprised at the paucity of chameleons. I thought we'd see more chameleons than we did this year, and I think it's probably got to do with the rain. I spotted a moth. Can you believe it, Brian? Are you so amazed? That is. I think it's a hawk moth. I'm going to. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
There we go. A hawk moth of some sort, I think. And I actually saw its eyes shining, if you can believe it. Little orange eyes. I don't know if you heard that buzzing sound, but something very large and insecty-like has just landed in the bin of this Land Rover. Brian, I hope it doesn't eat your leg on the way home.
Me too.
That hawk moth is fast asleep, everybody. He doesn't care about us. And obviously a diurnal moth. Of course, we know that most moths are nocturnal. That fellow is obviously diurnal. He's gone to sleep for the night. Very clever fellow that he is. We have a very special twice buffalo. Oh, look. We're just going to have a very quick look at this. I'm going to tell you what it is before we look, and then I'm just going to quickly show you. I think it's a little flock of red-faced mouse birds that have found solace and comfort in this Ziziphus mucronata bush. See them there? There they are. Oh, it's doves. We've just got the side light wash on them. They're doves. Let's just move away before they fly. We don't want them to fly, everybody. And the reason we don't want them to fly is because birds that are diurnal, active during the day, not nocturnal, don't have great night eyesight. That means that they won't be able to land properly. And, of course, the coordination any humans got, and if you then blind them in the night time, they have to try and fly and then search again. Indeed. Just a quick look at 2 ring-necked doves, I think they were. They may have been laughing doves. I didn't look properly. We've done a full loop now. This is the road that we sped down at 100 miles an hour when we first heard that Karen had spotted the dogs at Buyatela Dam. How marvellous that was.
So everyone, I actually meant to say astronomy, not astrology. So one day we can sit down and learn a little bit more about the stars and understand our place in this beautiful universe. We're just here on quarantine where we saw all sorts of stuff earlier. We're gonna see if we can see just maybe a scrub here. Maybe we can see a bush baby. I still haven't seen a bush baby since I've been here, or it can. See if we can find one of those. That's still something I struggle with, is seeing chameleons at night time. See if we can find one, Dave. Ever want a flat-necked chameleon? Jamie's asking if we've seen any zebra lately. I don't think we saw any today. No. But I have seen in the last few days. I definitely saw one yesterday or the day before. So it is quite common. They're such an amazing sighting to watch as well. They're such incredible looking animals. This is a very, very, very iconic African animal, the zebra. But wow. I'm sorry guys, but my adrenaline is still very, very strong in my body at the moment. A whole day of viewing wild dogs is something you don't get often in your life. And I was very, very privileged to see that. Well, both myself and Dave were here and you guys were all with us. So you were there with us, which makes it even more powerful, it's just so great. The idea of being able to share an experience such as that, it's just very powerful. You know, we've learned something a little bit more about the wild dog. We've seen it chasing animals, we've seen it playing with each other, we've seen them be friendly and be cooperative and be very social animals. The more that we experience and we have time to understand how the natural world works, the better we will be able to conserve the beautiful biodiversity that exists on our planet, which is my passion and love. Hannah is asking, is it Jupiter or Saturn that has over... Oh, Tana. Sorry, not Hannah. Is it Jupiter or Saturn that has over 200 moons? Great question, Tana. I'm actually not quite sure on that answer. But from what I remember, Saturn has those rings. And it's so I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Saturn over Jupiter. I know Jupiter has eight, I think it's 8 moons that move around Jupiter. So I'm pretty sure it's Saturn, just by knowing that Jupiter has 8 moons that surround it. That's incredible. Go and have a look at the different moons that orbit Jupiter. One of them is made up of ice. It's incredible when you start to learn about the geology and the way in which the universe is, the different planets, and how they are. It's super interesting. And, even learning about how a star forms, all the way to the death of a star is just a cycle it's such a long cycle, the way in which stars are. And our star at the moment is probably halfway through its life. It's still got a couple millions of years ahead of it. But what the sun will do as it gets older is that it will get bigger and redder. So when you look at some stars like Antares or Betelgeuse, which are in Scorpio and in Orion, the 2 red giants, red stars, you'll see them flickering. Those are old stars that are coming to the end of their life, and they will eventually turn into a supernova. But with that, we'll have more conversations like this in the future. It's been a fantastic day. Honestly, Louise, thank you so much from a directing point of view. And both Rebecca and Kirsty, that were your sidekicks. David, I've thoroughly enjoyed driving with you out here and seeing lions and seeing wild dogs. It's been fantastic.
Likewise.
James has been incredible teaching me and training me. Brent, Jamie, all of them have just helped me so much to better understand how to be and interact with you. So thank you for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever it is, and we will see you tomorrow.
We'll now maintain some form of signal until the end of the drive. We're very close by to home now, so we should. This is the road. Brian and I were just reminiscing about driving along this road at a great speed on our way to the dogs that Karen very kindly found for us at the dam. Ah yes, now Canine Caretaker, a nice question from you. I forgot, we just before we went black screen. You want to know how many dogs there are normally in a pack, what do they eat, and who hunts and who leads the pack, and basically what's the story. Canine Caretaker, the wild dogs packs can vary anything from 2 up to 24, I think is one of the largest I've seen. I've read about packs of 30 strong, so that's really huge. And they are led normally by an alpha pair, exactly like a wolf pack, basically. The alpha male will start off most of the hunting, and then they often will just sort of split off and run after whatever they can. But that's basically how it goes. And I mean, a big pack of 30 is normally sort of maybe 10 adults or so, and then that year's pups. So there can be up to 18 pups in one litter, believe it or not, but normally between 8 and 12 puppies in the litter. And I did hear that apparently the alpha there is pregnant already. It seems to me quite early. April, no, I suppose not, that's about right. But I mean, she shouldn't give birth before the end of May, normally. And Canine Caretaker, that's because a wild dog will normally give birth in the height of the winter, so that the adults, which do not use any form of stealth when they're hunting, so that the adults have clear, sort of vegetation-free environments in order to chase their prey. Now keep an eye on this Djuma Dam pan for the course during the course of the night. Of course, it's got an infrared camera, and those doggies may well pop down here. That didn't sound like they'd killed. There is a moon tonight, so they may well be hunting while there is a moon. Just great. One day we're going to get them hunting on quarantine in the moonlight with those night cameras. Raisa, you missed the sunrise drive due to work. That's very poor, Raisa. You should, of course, be watching the drive at work. I'm joking, of course. Raisa, you say we saw a new leopard. Yes, we did. Not that new. You've probably seen her. You've been watching a long time. Her name is Tsagani, apparently. 3-3 spot pattern, offspring of the late Kwatile. So, I'm sure, Raisa, you've seen her before. One of that sort of golden lineage of the Sunset Bend or Campbell Koppies leopard that used to live at Londolozi and Mala Mala. So that's who we saw. I've never seen her before. Brent luckily saw her, and then we hope to find her again this afternoon. But her tracks, I'm afraid, were obliterated by a roadworks crew. Okay, that's going to be it from us today, everybody. Thank you, Brian, for your efforts today. Thank you to all of you for talking to us. You are to this drive, and it's wonderful chatting to you as we drive through here, especially those young kids earlier today. Wasn't that great? Big thanks to Sam, of course, and Dave, and a thanks to Luisi in the final control, and Kirsten. We will see you tomorrow as the African dawn breaks at 6 o'clock. Until then, stay safe and happy. Bye-bye.